Hello, welcome back. This is Chris and Beaver Carpentry. We're building a low profile wooden 19 by 16 deck. We've already got the holes dug and the concrete in it to cure. I'm prepping for the flashing and the ledger board on this vinyl siding home. I'll be showing you the proper way to install the flashing and cut the siding. Now, to determine where your ledger will go, locate the door and measure down 1.25 inches for the 5/4 decking board to fit underneath the threshold. The 1/4 inch extra is to ensure that the decking board will fit easily on top of the flashing and ledger board there. Now, this will be the top of the ledger. Draw with a marker and a level the entire length of the house where your ledger board will go and pop a line. Now go up 1/2 inch and mark or pop a line. This is where you will cut the siding with a multi-tool. This allows you room for the flashing to be installed on top of the ledger board. When your decking goes on, it'll cover this seam and you won't have to use a J-channel or anything since the decking is 1 inch thick. Now if you're using a 2x8 or 2x10 ledger, especially on tall houses, go ahead and measure down from that top line where your ledger is going to go, about half the height of the material that you're using, and go ahead and pop another line, nice level, and cut the siding off right there. You may have to put small nails in it so it doesn't fall. Make sure you eliminate one of the protrusions that are on the siding. That way your ledger board will smash nicely against the house. And once this is cut and you put your ledger board on, it smashes the siding and you will not see that seam, the bottom seam, and it also keeps water from getting behind. So now that we got the flashing installed, I'll show you what I'm talking about, how the decking board will cover the seam. And now with the decking board on and smashed against it, no use for J-channel, and it covers the seam nicely. Well, this is what we've got so far on our 16 by 19 low profile deck that we're building here. Got our 2 beams in, putting our blocks in between the center here. What that does is it straightens up all your joists. We've got all our hangers on. Got our lag bolts in, staggered, 2 on the ends and staggered every 16 inches. Since this is wood, we got this laid out 16 center. If it was composite, floor joist would be 12 on center. And so we've got our beam here with our carriage bolts in there, 6.5, so they go all the way through, and 6x6 with a 3-inch notch. And a double beam sits in a pocket. And then our second beam here. And we'll wait till the end to cut these off. That way we don't have a ripper in our decking board. And we'll lay all our decking boards out until we get to the very last one. Go ahead and mark it. Come back 1.5 inches. Our ribbon on, or a band board, and then we'll have a full decking board there. Give it a nice finish. We'll be back when we get the decking on. Alright, welcome back. So we got the decking boards all stocked up here. Getting ready to install the very first one. Up nice and tight. Got the old board smasher. They make several types of these. It hooks on the floor joist and it'll smash all your boards together. When you lay wooden decking boards, you want to get these nice and tight because when they dry out, they'll automatically gap themselves. And with the first board, you go ahead and you get your exact measurement and cut it off flush, or if you're having a hangover, go ahead and just get it to that size. The rest of them you can go ahead and cut. The reason being you cut the first one is your saw doesn't go all the way over. It just makes it a little easier. Alrighty, next step is probably going to be the stairs or the handrail. We'll see you then. Okay, so we've got our decking down. What we did, it's very important to have your floor joist nice and straight, so when you go to pop your lines, you make sure you hit all your joists when you go to nail this off. What we did, we put our first board on there. As I explained yesterday, we cut it to fit. That way the saw, when you go all the way against the house, you don't have to worry about it not cutting the whole board, and using a multi-tool to finish it. The rest of these you can cut off in the end by popping a line. What we did 5 boards, and then we used that board squeezer, and then we nailed that 5th board off. Went another 5 boards, squeezed it, nailed that one off, until we got all the way to the end, and we determined where the last full decking board would go. And then we came in our overhang plus our 1.5 inches for our band board, and then went ahead and cut all the joists off. That way you don't have a ripper in the end. And then you put the band on, which is what we're getting ready to do. That's it right there. And then we'll go back and we'll pop all these lines on the joist, and we'll have the nails at the house to go by, and the end of the joist to go by. We'll pop lines, and hopefully all our joists are nice and straight, and then we'll shoot the rest of this all the way up. That's basically a gist of laying the decking boards. Make sure you get these all nice and squeezed tight, because they will gap when they dry. Alright, so we're laying out for the post position for our handrail. There's a couple different ways you could do this. I'm getting ready to learn a new way, and then I'll demonstrate the other way that I've been using. So we've got the 2 posts on the end installed, and he's getting an overall measurement between the 2 posts, and that's inside to inside. Correct. Alright, so what we're doing is we're figuring out our layout for our handrail post. What you do is you want to get your 2 posts on the ends already installed. And once you do that, you're going to take an overall measurement between the inside of both these posts. However many posts you are going to use, you're going to go ahead and subtract that width. In this case, we're using 2 posts. We're going to have 3 spaces, but 2 posts. So you'll take off 7 inches, because these are 3.5 inches wide. Subtract that from your overall measurement you got, and then take that number and divide it by however many spaces you have, and that will give you your space. And then you should be, so then you'll be completely even between your post. So when you go to do your layout on your spindles, when you start at the center and work to your left and right, between your last spindle and the post, they will be all even. So that is the layout and the gist of determining how to get that on the handrail post. Got a little add-on note that I'm going to add to this stringer video, how to figure your height for your stringer and how to install. I just want to note that make sure when you do your level to get your measurement for your stringer height that you go off the frame and not off the decking board. Because what you're going to do is when you go off the frame and you take that inch off the bottom heel to make that a little bit shorter, you'll get that back with the decking board once the decking board's on. It just works out that way. Also, and if you want to know how far to come out so you know exactly what part of the ground to measure from, once you do your math and you get how many rises you have, subtract 1 from that number, and that'll be how many runs you have. And the runs are 10.5, so times that number you got times 10.5, and that'll give you how far out that you're going to come, and then you can go back and remeasure and make sure that you have a good height. It's still about the same. If not, then you have to do a little bit more refiguring just to get your rises back correctly. Now this is very important, especially if you're doing a landing and you need to land your stringer in a proper place. And the reason you take off one run is for the heel, because your heel needs to sit on something.